Welcome to this Škoda T25 replay on Himmelsdorf. The T25 in this instance is being played by MrGerjo, and he's actually a friend of Cheesix. Cheesix actually sent me the link to this replay and asked me to check it out because it's a really nice match in the T25. The T25 is the tier 6 Czech medium tank, and it's a really novel tank in a sense. Obviously you've got the German one in the German tree, which is pretty similar, but it doesn't have the autoloader, and this one has a 3-shot autoloader itself, and it's really quite powerful. Now myself, I didn't actually play the T25 because when the Czech tree came out I had enough free XP to actually go straight to the T34-100, which is one of the worst new Czech tanks that they implemented. But if you want to know more about that tank, just go to my actual review on it. The tier 8 one is actually quite nice, and then the tier 9 one is good again. And this one, tier for tier, is really good as well. I mean, it's got the autoloader, so it's basically very similar to the gun on the Panzer IV. But with 3 shots, and MrGerjo at the start of the match is not really playing the tank in a health preserving manner, so to speak. He takes a lot of damage in the early part of the match trying to get those enemies coming up the hill, and while he is putting some fire in, it's not really working out for him. He gets smacked in the face by Artie as well, but he just waits for this Hellcat to pop up, so he puts 2 shots in and then manages to retreat. He also spots that the hill is pretty much a lost cause at this point. The enemy has more tanks here, and if he stays he'll die, so he does the smart thing in this instance, which is to actually pull back. And as you can see, he's got 2 gun marks on this tank as well, so I guess he quite likes it. Personally, I'm grinding this on one of my alternate accounts. I'm currently on the 39 thingy tank, which is actually quite crap, but I should get the T24 soon. I'm not going to play this on my main account because I've got enough tier 6 tanks for the strongholds. Although this tank is used quite a lot, I see no point in buying it back and actually training 100% crew for it at the moment. So I'll check it out on my alternate and then maybe on my main as well, I don't know. But as we can see, it's not really looking too well for MrGerjo's team here. There are quite a number of tanks behind at the moment, and while they have 3 real tanks left, the enemy still has 6 real tanks left. I mean, Artie is not really real tanks, they're really limited in what they can do. But that won't stop the enemy. I think Birchgun from trying to put some nice fire into MrGerjo here later on. MrGerjo was thinking about going for the 3 tanks that were last spotted on the other side of the map, but doesn't. And then he gets spotted here, which is rather unfortunate because now the enemy actually knows he's coming. And one of them is actually aimed for him, but he managed to take out 2 of them, and then he spots the Hellcat just in time. And that's 3 kills and 1 magazine, so that's a really, really good score. He was quite surprised by it himself, as you can see. And yeah, nice combo breaker. So at the moment we see the friendly Churchill one being pretty useless, only receiving damage and not actually dealing any, which is always a joy. So now we've got just this KV left because the T82 committed ritual suicide as well for no apparent reason. So now it's just MrGerjo left on 175 HP and this KV. So luckily the enemy T25, which is the German T25, so it doesn't have the autoloader, misses his first shot but puts a second one in, which is a bit unfortunate because now MrGerjo is down to 66 health. And the Birchgun will do his best to try and splash him, obviously. Because he's got the most kills, so he's the most prestigious target, I guess, for the Artie. But MrGerjo actually makes himself scarce. He sees that the base is being kept, so manages to ricochet off the side of the enemy T25, but that shot actually goes in, and unfortunately the enemy Churchill 7, which in this engagement I must add, is quite a strong tank. Kills his friendly KV-1, and now it's just him left against 5 tanks. Unfortunately, he got spotted by the RT on the hill, because what RT needed was a lot of speed to actually be able to get up the hill. That's the unfortunate bit to the French RT. They're relatively fast, which makes them a little bit more annoying to take care of. But as we can see, he's just trying to get up the hill to take care of the RT, because in these kinds of engagements where you're left against multiple enemy tanks, it's best to try and take them on one by one. You don't want to brawl with all of them at once, because that would just be suicide. So what you do is you isolate your targets, find the ones that are basically split off from the pack, and you kill them as soon as possible before the rest shows up. And if the enemy is stupid enough to not actually go for the cap, you can quite easily win a match like that, as long as you make sure that you keep safe. But MrGerjo is not really paying attention here, and he's lucky that the enemy RT didn't actually take time to fully aim that shot, because he could have really easily died like this. He gets behind the castle, which is the only smart thing to do here, because the birch gun has a really high firing arc as well. So I mean, that's the hallmark of the British RT. They can basically fire over cover, which for all other RT is cover, but not for them. And unfortunately, the Churchill here has got really good crew, because MrGerjo got spotted. Now that could be because MrGerjo either doesn't have camo on his crew, which I probably find unlikely with 2 gun marks. It means that he played the tank quite a lot. Or it's just because MrGerjo didn't actually have camo on this, or doesn't have camo on this tank at the moment. I mean, tanks like this though are sort of keepers, even especially if you don't play like competitive modes. They're quite nice and randoms. They can carry their weight, especially because they have an autoloader. That's one of the reasons why I'm really interested in the new Swedish premium tank, because it has an autoloader. Sure, it's sort of relatively slow, has no gun depression, but having an autoloader is always a huge advantage, because you can do a lot more damage to enemy tanks than a single shotgun in your clip burst. So I mean, and MrGerjo is doing the really nice thing here, which is get to the side of the Churchill. The Churchill is just botting in base, so yeah, it's quite easy to actually damage that guy. I mean, it's good of him to cap, but now that he knows where MrGerjo is, he should just get his ass out of the cap completely, because it's just dumb to remain there. That being said, he left the cap, which might suggest that he actually has a functioning brain. And MrGerjo gives him the same credit and actually waits in an ambush to see if the Churchill will show up. And he's a bit undecisive here. I would probably be as well, because you never know where he's going to come from. There's multiple angles he can come from, but he decides to actually go poke in the base again. And he carefully nudges around the corner, knocking over everything in his way. And then we can see that Churchill driver, true to his tomato legacy, actually is still sitting somewhere in the vague area of the base. So yeah, I think we can safely assume from this play that the 3 kills on his parts were more luck than skill, actually, because he should have left the cap long ago. MrGerjo is down to his final 2 rounds of AP here, and he notices that he can actually take proper aim, because the Churchill has a really crappy repair crew as well, so he won't get his tracks up before MrGerjo finishes reloading. So puts the last shot in, and that's a full health Churchill 7, who unfortunately for himself was a little bit dumb in his positioning, which got him killed. If he left the cap or properly angled, it would have ended a lot better. And MrGerjo is being really cautious here. He's only got 66 health, and I must say though, while side scraping would definitely make sense with a full health tank, It's arguable that against Artie it doesn't really make a difference if you're angled or not, because they will splash you regardless. So I think in these situations you might be better off to actually just quickly poke around the corner, because the thing with side scraping is that the thing that provides your tank with vision, namely the top of your turret, the commander's cupola or whatever, is not around the corner. Your ass is sticking out now, but you can't actually spot anything, so you're actually an easier target for the enemy than the other way around. So it is a bit dangerous doing that in this stage of the game, but it makes sense to keep the discipline as well. And there we can see that the enemy Škoda is sitting AFK in base. So now MrGerjo knows that he's got nothing to worry about from the actual tanks. Although, having said that, even if that guy is AFK in base, I would not sit directly in front of his gun, because it's not the first time that I've actually seen an enemy spawn to life once they get fired at. That's a sign of a true bot, actually, that they also start firing back as soon as they receive damage. So I would always sort of be at a bit of an angle so you can actually see the enemy respawn before they blast your Nadgers off. So, but that being said, only 2 Artie left, but we know how it goes with Artie. 100% accuracy while turning the vehicle when they're the last vehicles alive, so they have no problem snapshotting you. And this enemy Artie sits in ambush as well, and screws up his shot. I've got no clue why he was aiming so far up the street, because we know where MrGerjo was. He was seen on the map as well, so I've got no idea why that guy was aiming so high. MrGerjo is being a bit cautious, trying to find out where the last enemy Artie is. Birdgun had a shot earlier, and there we can see him at the end of the street. So MrGerjo actually makes himself scarce. He is spotted by that Artie, so he gets behind cover. And I mean, this is the right thing to do. Although I know the British Artie doesn't have much splash radius, but I would definitely go further behind the building rather than sit so close to the edge, because the Artie can still splash you. That's the advantage to being in this position. You can see here the corner on the right, you've got like a whole area with your tank to sit in, so you can actually stay safe. But he actually aims at this corner, and initially I didn't really know why. I mean, as an enemy player I would not come from that direction, because you can get spotted easily, but he aims at this corner, just keeps an eye out. And then the enemy Artie shows up, who also messes up a shot. So yeah, that's the end of the match. He actually manages to finish the match with 10 kills, which is really, really, really nice. Especially since he also did it mostly with AP, because the last premium shells were because he actually ran out of AP, so that makes it even more interesting. All in all, a really solid match though. The Artie was a bit weird with their shots, but yeah, he carried his team really, really well. So the final statistics for this match are 1632 base XP with 3172 damage, which is really impressive for a tier 6 tank. He also got the Kolobanov's medal, he got the Pools medal, he got the Pescucci medal for killing all the Artie. He also got Top Gun and Defender, and a whole load of ribbons as well to go with these impressive medals. So five medals in total, 3 of them actually epic medals and an ace tanker obviously. 1600 base, really impressive. I really like this match. I like how he played. He played it really well. He played it with a brain. He isolated the targets that needed isolating instead of going in like Rambo. He played the vehicle well. He showed off the strengths and the weaknesses at the same time. Yeah, all in all a really good replay. So thanks Cheesix for sending it in. And thanks MrGerjo for playing such a good match. So hope you guys liked the replay. If you did, feel free to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and see you guys next time.